Obedience comes at a cost, yes, but the cost of disobedience is so much greater. The cost of obedience to me is things that we deem valuable to ourselves that don't actually hold value. Like, you're losing these friends because you became obedient to God. You don't go these places no more because you're obedient to God. You're not the same person you were before because now you're obedient to God. Like, there are things that we think that are important and end up not being important in the long run. Disobedience to me is missing out on blessings and opportunities that God got for us because we being hard headed. And the Bible study for today is Numbers chapter 20. God told Moses to take his staff and speak to the rock. That's it. The instructions were to take and speak. Take your staff, speak to the rock, and water will flow out for the community to drink from. Moses raised his arm and struck the rock twice. Struck the rock. Who told you to strike? Who told you to do that? Because of his disobedience, water still gushed out. The community was still able to drink, but because of that, God's response was, because you were disobedient to me, you will not get to enter the promised land flowing with milk and honey. Mind you, God called Moses. So it's like he was supposed to enter that land, but because he didn't follow this simple command, he don't get to enter into the promised land flowing with milk and honey. But he still got to lead him there, though. Imagine that. He still got to lead him there, but he can't even enter. Imagine getting them all the way there and you can't even go in because you were disobedient. I'm going to actually read it because I was paraphrasing. So we in Numbers chapter 20, verse 8 says, take the rod and assemble the congregation. Thou, Aaron, and thy brothers, speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, that it give forth its water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock, so thou shalt give to the congregation and their cattle drink. Now we in verse 11. Moses lifted up his hand and struck the rock with his rod twice, and water came forth abundantly, and the congregation drank and their cattle. Now, what's important to note here is that God was faithful even in Moses' disobedience, right? God could have very much been like, because you were disobedient, the community will not drink. But I think if he would have done that, the community would not have had faith in who God says that he is because of Moses' disobedience. I think that shows his goodness and his faithfulness even in disobedience. But you also have to know that with disobedience comes consequences. And Moses' consequence was not being able to enter the promised land, which is so crazy and such a big punishment. But it's like you still got to lead them through. You still got to get them there, but you ain't going. Like, I cannot even imagine how Moses must have felt in that moment. We must be obedient. The lesson of the video is we must be obedient.